Right now, let's bring in former New York City Police Commissioner Bernard Kerik. He is standing by. Sir, what are your thoughts on this trial?
Well, I think the jury did its job. Nobody knows better than they do what happened that evening. They got to see all of the evidence that was taken into consideration, and they made a determination. Hopefully, the community, hopefully the activists, hopefully the naysayers and the instigators will take the verdict that was given by the jury and go home. Basically, we live in a world, at least in this country, for the time being, we live in a country that abides by a United States Constitution, and the Constitution was at work in this case. The jury made a decision based on their findings of the investigation that was presented before them, and they came up with that verdict. So hopefully, everybody will take them for their word and go about their business.
Yeah, we have a comment here. I'm just kind of scrolling through because it's all happening in real time. Mark Richards, who was one of the defense lawyers, says that Kyle Rittenhouse, after his acquittal of him, he is relieved. He looks forward to getting on with his life, and having a jury of 12 people find him not guilty meant the world to him in practical and symbolic ways. So that's how Kyle Rittenhouse is feeling.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Mr. Kerik, about the possibility of protest or reaction to this trial? We're not seeing it right now. Could it be underway? What do you think is unfolding here?
Well, you have to look at the intel that's out there and the scattering of information over the last week or so, where people said there was going to be riots and all this other stuff. Listen, the bottom line is the government, the city, local, state, and federal government should be prepared. Should be prepared. They've known this was going on for a week and a half, 2 weeks now. You know what? They should be prepared. Nobody should tolerate violence, period. And I don't care what the verdict is. I'm not talking about the verdict. I'm talking about violence in general. And I think the governor has to be on notice that if he needs the National Guard, bring them in. If he needs the state police, bring them in. But no violence should be tolerated. And we need to send a message. You want to live by a system, by the Constitution, well, then you have to abide by it in all forms. And this is one of them.
Yeah, I think they have, 500 National Guard who had been called up and on standby and available. What does it tell you looking at the scene right now, though? I mean, because you've been through situations like this, kind of being trying to tell the future is what I'm asking you to do. Based on what you're seeing, which appears to be relatively peaceful, totally peaceful, actually, do you think that will change as night falls?
Well, you know what? Keep in mind, guys, the instigators and antagonists that, show up at these events, when do they come out? They're like boogeymen, right? They come out at nighttime. They don't do it now. They come out at nighttime. So tonight will be telling. Is Black Lives Matter and Antifa and all the other instigators that react in a violent way, are they going to come out tonight? Who knows? But based on the crowd that's there, I think they're doing what should be done. If they want to peacefully protest, if they want to be there to see the verdict, that's fine. But as soon as something gets violent, as soon as any violence occurs, then the city, local, and state, the federal officials have to move in and take action.
I wanted to ask
Otherwise, this stuff will continue constantly.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, I don't know if you can look up Mayor de Blasio's comments, but we don't know.
Lots of folks commenting on that, by the way.
Are a lot of comments on that? And I wanted to ask you whether a comment like this from Mayor de Blasio here in New York has an effect on how people react to this kind of verdict.
Yeah, here's what he said, in case you haven't heard it yet. He said, this was 45 minutes ago, right after the verdict came in. Anthony Huber and Joseph Rosenbaum are victims. They should be alive today. The only reason they're not is because a violent, dangerous man chose to take a gun across state lines and start shooting people. To call this a miscarriage of justice is an understatement. That's from Mayor Bill de Blasio.
Well, first of all, you're listening to or hearing the words of a man that doesn't believe in this Constitution. This is a guy that in 1987 was supporting the Sandinistas. He's an admitted socialist Marxist. That's what he believes in. He despises the Constitution, in my opinion. And I think that's what you hear out of those comments. And nobody's more glad than I am, and the people of New York, that he's going to be leaving in January, and New York can get back to the business of being the #1 city in the world.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious whether comments like that actually manifest themselves in people turning out who otherwise would not turn out.
They do. They do. You know, listen, he's notorious for instigating. He's notorious for instigating. He's notorious for emboldening bad guys to do bad things. He did it all during the riots last summer. That's what he does. So this shouldn't surprise anybody, his comments.
Yeah, at the same time, we also have a trial going on in Georgia, the Arbery trial, and I was wondering if you think that the Ahmaud Arbery, do you think that this will influence what happens there, this verdict?
No, it shouldn't. You know, and I would hope it doesn't. I would hope it does not. I hope that the people of Georgia and the jury that's sitting in Georgia will take a look at the evidence, look at what's presented to them before them, and let them make that decision. These are two very different cases. One should not have an impact on the other, period. That's the way you have to look at this.
Okay, you were involved with the police department in New York for many years, and we know the temperature varies in New York a great deal. The summers can be really hot and humid, and the winters can be really cold. They can be snowy. So, and does that have an effect on how people behave from your experience? It's supposed to go down tonight to 25, and the high tomorrow in the 40s.
Listen, you know, it's a weird thing. You know, I used to tell people as soon as the summer comes, as soon as the heat comes out and it gets humid and people want to get out of their houses, you know, that's when, you know, the bad guys start moving. But look, in situations like this, you know, we've seen Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesting in the dead of winter. We've seen them, you know, engaged in violence, you know, when it's cold outside.
So it can happen anytime.
It could happen anytime. I wouldn't put anything to that.
All right. We can keep our fingers crossed that there's no reason for any of that to happen. But Bernard Kerik, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts and insights.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.